Oh my gosh, it has been way too long. I have missed getting to talk to you. I've missed getting to make these episodes. My podcast absence is at least for a decent reason. I've been writing and recording a ton of new music that I am so excited to share with you soon, including a couple songs today. And I've been playing shows and getting ready for shows, and I've had my hands full with a lot of things that I have so loved doing, but I have truly missed being in front of this microphone, getting to share with you all that goes into the music that I'm making. So I'm really, really excited to be back. Thank you so much for pressing play. My name is Ryan O'Neill. I make music under the name Sleeping at Last, and this is the Sleeping at Last podcast. Today, I am so excited to share a pair of new Atlas songs with you. They're what I keep calling sibling songs in that they're related to one another, which is something that I have really, really loved doing lately. I'm sure you've noticed in Atlas 3. Sibling songs are song pairings like Hurt and Heal, Awake and Asleep. And today's episode will be all about my brand new songs, Build and Destroy. And because Build and Destroy are sibling songs, I wanted to record this episode as kind of a double episode, which is the first time I've really done that. Normally, I focused just on one song, and because they're so interconnected, I wanted to get to talk about both of them. So this is my first double episode. Before we talk about how Build and Destroy came to be, I wanted to just quickly share a couple things. First, I get to check a major bucket list item off of my list soon. On May 27th, I get to play a show at the legendary Royal Albert Hall in London. I cannot tell you how excited and how nervous I am for this show. It is my first ever full orchestral show in London, and I will be joined by a 45-piece orchestra. And I am so excited. The wonderful London Contemporary Orchestra are joining me, and they're just absolutely incredible. I cannot wait, and I hope to see you there. Tickets are available now. I will put a link in the show notes. And after that, I'll be playing a solo show in the Netherlands in June. I am so honored that it's sold out, and I cannot wait to visit the Netherlands for the first time ever in my life. I'm also thrilled to announce that later this year, I'll have the honor of playing my debut at the Ryman in Nashville on October 20th. I'll be joined by a string quartet, and also just absolutely cannot wait. Tickets are on sale now as well. A link for that show is also in the show notes. And lastly, in case you missed it, in January, I put out a new astronomy song called January 21, 2025, Planet Parade / Comet Atlas. It was inspired by the rare alignment of planets that were on display in January, and that happened to be at the same time that you could view the comet Atlas, and that felt like there's no way I'm not going to write that song. A comet called Atlas that kind of brings all my worlds together. So here's a little clip of that, and this song is available everywhere music is. Oh my gosh, guys, can you hear that? There's so much sound going on outside of the window of where I'm recording. So much construction is happening, and I've had to stop and record and stop and record over and over because there's so much beeping. Yeah, you can probably hear that. But then it occurred to me that this is an episode about Build and Destroy, and it's kind of perfect that there are construction noises in the backdrop of this episode. Weirdly, there actually are some Easter eggs of construction in both Build and Destroy, so kind of perfect, I guess. So anyway, I think that brings us pretty much up to speed, and now I am so excited to share Build and Destroy with you. First, we're going to listen to Build, and then we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to listen to Destroy, and then we're going to talk about it. So here is Build.
Out there blinking, you'll miss it. It's the promised land, or at least somewhere different. Pressed up to the glass to see it. I get distracted by my reflection. Like a live wire, hope flickers against the pitch black and rich contrast, hypnotized by the horizon. I hold out my hand. I just wanna build some kind of bridge to where the source material lives. I wanna build brick by brick until I'm changed. For a minute I'll be endless. For a minute I'll be brave. For a minute I'll make sense of all of my mistakes. I've pored over the blueprints, I've stuck to the plan, even a little ahead of schedule, but still missing parts of who I am. An active imagination fills the empty space. The pencil reaches wide, but like anything held too tight, it breaks. I just wanna make some kind of mark, permanent ink right from the start. I wanna draw line by line until I'm changed. I just wanna build some kind of bridge to where the source material lives. I wanna build brick by brick until I'm changed. For a minute I'll be endless. For a minute I'll be brave. For a minute I'll make sense of all of my mistakes. For a minute I'll be endless. For a minute I'll be whole. For a minute I'll make something I'll forever call my own. I'll always wrestle with patience, the dissonance of purgatory, but I'll try to make use of the tension in this first and second act of my story.
So Build is the 7th song in Atlas 3, and it's actually the 62nd song in all of Atlas, which I don't know why that surprised me because I wrote these songs, but that's a big number. Anyway, as I've briefly mentioned in past episodes, Atlas 3 has a subtle underpinning to all of its themes inspired by spiral dynamics. So with this concept in mind, Build begins the red level or V-meme in spiral dynamics, which represents a bold, impulsive and ego-driven mindset focused on power, often expressed through rebellion or risk-taking. But it's a pioneering spirit. It's a challenge to the status quo. And as a reminder, spiral dynamics is part of like all people. So it's not really specific to personality or individuals necessarily. It is something we all kind of move through. And because the overarching theme of Atlas 3 is what do we do with all that we're given, I felt like the concept of spiral dynamics was really helpful in ordering all of the themes that I wanted to explore in Atlas 3. And so that is what I mean by kind of it being the underpinning of these songs. So for Red, this pioneering spirit, this explorer in all of us, I felt like the way to write about this would be to have essentially 3 songs written as arguments or negotiations with time. And I'll explain all of that in much greater detail. But in a nutshell, Build represents the pleading with time. It's begging for more of it. In Destroy, it is a full-on argument. It is anger towards time. It wants time to suffer in the same way that we do. And the third song, which I haven't mentioned yet, is called Time Lies, Ludos, and it is, of course, inspired by the Greek definition of love, Ludos, and it essentially entirely dismisses time. It ignores it. The idea here that I got excited about is this ego-driven part of who we are that sees the world and wants to alter everything we come into contact with as much as we can for our own want, desire, gain, need, whatever the reason is. I love the idea of putting that part of us up against time, which is the most immovable and unchangeable force. And personally, in writing these songs, I'm exploring that confrontation in myself, that ego part of me, the healthy and the unhealthy aspects of it, and how it interfaces with time and my own struggles and challenges with time. So this is reflected in the opening line of Build, which is, "Out there, blink and you'll miss it, is the promised land, or at least somewhere different."
Out there, blink and you'll miss it. It's the promised land, or at least somewhere different.
I wanted to establish the hunger and desire for more, for something better, like the promised land, while also acknowledging the urgency of time. So the lyric "blink and you'll miss it" covers this. For me, that hunger shows up in all sorts of ways all the time in my life. It's the thinking that if I could just get over there, then I'll be content. Or if I just reach a little further over here, I'll finally find the opportunity that I've been dreaming of, or whatever it is, whatever life circumstance that I'm kind of itching for. I think most of us are pretty familiar with the unhealthy aspects of this kind of thinking. I'll finally be happy when, if I could only have blank or get to blank. Whatever it is, that grass is greener kind of thinking definitely prevents us from being content where we are. But I also think there's a really beautiful and healthy side of it too. That hunger or desire is what propels us to create and explore. And so I had a lot of fun playing around with that tension in myself in writing the song. And this is what I was trying to express and explore in the next set of lyrics. Pressed up to the glass to see it, but I get distracted by my own reflection. Like a live wire, hope flickers against the pitch black in rich contrast. Hypnotized by the horizon, I hold out my hand.
Pressed up to the glass to see it, I get distracted by my reflection. Like a live wire, hope flickers against the pitch black and rich contrast. Hypnotized by the horizon, I hold out my hand.
I get distracted by my own reflection. That is definitely my ego, and it is also my nonstop ability to get in my own head. So whether I'm writing a song or even recording this podcast or playing a show, whatever it is, I am constantly in my head, just full on getting in the way. And which is a form of just like staring at myself, and that's not a great way to be. So it's acknowledging that weird aspect of my ego. And so the hypnotized by the horizon lyric is meant to sort of be the other side of that, which is, yes, I get so stuck with distractions of my own making sometimes, but there's also this hunger, this horizon that I get obsessed with. And it's something that I want to create and make and build. And for me personally, that drive, that hunger for the horizon can be super healthy because it helps me get out of my own head and just use my hands, which is reflected in that line, I hold out my hand. I've talked a bit about this before, but in writing lyrics, I love to use a sort of word palette as I write. Basically what that means is before I write any lyric and I just have the song theme in mind, I'll jot down a bunch of words that fit that theme. So in this song, Build, which is all about creativity and making things, I listed out a bunch of words that just fit that idea. So bricks, blueprints, mark, make, ink, material, glass, draw, and the list goes on. And I find it so fun to try to fit as many words in that list as possible into the actual lyrics of the song. Mostly it serves as just a really helpful jumping off point and kind of sets the tone of what I'm writing about. But it is also just a personal fun challenge to see how many I can get into the song. And in this one, I think I fit all of them in. I just listed off most of them. But yeah, there's a vocabulary of building in this song that I enjoyed writing with. In the next set of lyrics, from the bridge through the chorus, it kind of sums up what I love about making music and all of creativity for that matter. The lyrics are, I just want to build some kind of bridge to where the source material is. I want to build brick by brick until I'm changed. For a minute, I'll be endless. For a minute, I'll be brave. For a minute, I'll make sense of all of my mistakes. So in the pursuit of finding that source material, whatever it is, we change and we heal And on occasion in writing songs, I do feel like I get to engage with something really special or sacred. And the only way I really know how to describe it is that it feels like some sort of infinite. And so the lyric, "For a minute, I'll be endless," that is what it's about. So these lyrics are me pleading with time, begging time to give me more time so I can be there chasing after that for as long as I can, because it truly and deeply fills up my soul. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about the music. Build actually began as an atom, and if you are unfamiliar with what an atom is, I have a project called Atoms where I write essentially 1-minute pieces of music that are inspired by moments throughout my day, and they come out kind of sporadically. They're usually instrumental, and as I was working on it, I had this little loop, this little bleep blip kind of loop that I think I wrote on an iPhone app, but it might have just been a synthesizer that I have laying around in the studio. And I was entranced by this loop and played some chords over it, and all of a sudden I felt like it called for a vocal melody. And then I could actually see that this has a verse and a chorus, and the whole song kind of unfolded in my mind, and I realized that it was not an atom, but it belonged to Atlas. And when I'm working on vocal melodies, I will just use my iPhone voice memos app, and I will record whatever gibberish I'm singing, just to remember the ideas that I like melodically and to see what works and what doesn't work. Sometimes it helps to play back a few days later and just be like, oh, actually I can kind of hear where that should go. Anyway, they're usually really terrible sounding. In this case, you can hear the click track in the background, and I am just singing full on gibberish, but I'll share the very beginnings of Build with you.
Someone waiting, you feeling that I can't ever go on tonight. So you wanna wait and believe it. You never hold your start.
I loved filling this song with synthy sounds throughout. I sort of feel like creativity feels like electricity, so there's something about synth sounds that sort of capture that for me. And so I had a ton of fun adding in layer after layer. I used a bunch of Teletone audio instruments that were so perfect for this song. The drums that you hear throughout were played by my dear friend Jason Toth, who is just so talented. I'm so honored that he said yes to playing on the song. He recorded his tracks in France, where he lives, and it is such a joy, as always, to work with Jason. And all the strings that you hear throughout are performed by my longtime collaborators, Sharon Gerber and Anya Gerber, some of my favorite people on the planet, and truly I can never, ever sing their praises enough. They are just so incredibly talented. I think I've talked about this in other podcasts, but because I can't read or write sheet music, I approach writing strings a little bit differently every time. And sometimes it's with synths, sometimes it's with MIDI instruments, sometimes it's just humming it, sometimes it's singing it, other times it's just writing it on the piano. All different ways. And lately I have been loving writing the strings with my voice. So I'll sing or hum each part, and then I'll send it to Sharon and Anya, and then they will make sense of it. They will make it sound absolutely beautiful. But what I love about writing strings with my voice is that I get to have quick access to the dynamics and the fade-ins and fade-outs, even a bit of bowing and articulation. It's all much quicker than if I were to program it with a MIDI instrument and then send it over. So I do end up having these absolutely ridiculous sounding tracks that Sharon and Anya get to hear, but it's a really fun and kind of quick way to write strings. Here are a couple examples of what I sang and what Sharon and Anya so beautifully recorded afterwards. And usually I will completely get rid of those voice strings and just leave the live strings in. But for some reason, this song felt like it kind of worked with both. So in the final mix, you'll hear both the live strings and my voice strings. A huge thanks as always to Sharon and Anya for just putting up with these crazy ideas and always making them sound amazing. I always hide little personal sounds throughout every song I write and record. It is my way of kind of capturing more than just music, and this song is no exception. So here's a handful of the Easter egg sounds hidden throughout the song. The first little Easter egg is a sound that I already mentioned, which is the sound of construction. So my family and I recently moved into a new apartment in London, and there is a ton of construction going on up and down all of the streets, seemingly endlessly. And so the day that we actually got the keys to our apartment, I went around and recorded just a couple little snippets of sound of the machinery. I thought, what better sound for a song called Build than the sound of construction? The next little Easter egg sound is audio from a home video that I took of my daughters when they were really little, drawing. And so I thought that would be a beautiful way to also represent the idea of creativity and making things. And so in this little tiny snippet, you can just kind of hear my girls chattering, but they were always drawing when they were young. They still do, but when they were really little, they just would draw all day. And it was really beautiful to watch. Yeah.
So my dog did that.
The next little Easter egg is similar. It was from a video from a long time ago, and it has the voices of my mom, and it has my dad and my wife, and the girls are in this video are drawing, and so you just get to hear a little commentary from Grandma and Grandpa on what the girls are making.
That's good. Wow.
As I said before, Build is about making things. It is how in making things we get to touch on the feeling of endlessness. It's me working hard to convince time, to beg time for more time so that I can continue doing this thing that I love so much, which is making stuff and making it with the people I love. Ultimately, by the end of the song, this plea for time becomes a prayer for acceptance.
I'll always wrestle with patience, the dissonance of purgatory, but I'll try to make use of the tension in this first and second act of my story.
And that's Build. So let's go ahead and jump right into the next song, which is called Destroy.
Smash the hourglass into oblivion. Time stands still. The shattering of glass and the avalanche of sand breaks the spell. Time, I wanna feel your tender heart break just like mine. For the soft and the sharp of a rose that was grown to be pruned and pruned until it dies. I'm talking in my sleep, maybe I'm saying what I mean. Time will tell. The quiet part out loud sets the table, shifts the ground, rings the bell. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just pick up the pieces. Don't overthink this. Time, I wanna see you hesitate, even change your mind. Be born and buried with hope for an afterlife. In our storybooks, written in our DNA, birth is pain. The phoenix in the ash, transformation in the third act, keeps the dread at bay. So I'm gonna light a match, and if it all goes up in flames, God, I hope the fire lights the way.
As mentioned, both build and destroy are negotiations with time. Build pleads with time for an expansive life of creativity. Destroy threatens time for it. It's a bit of an argument, calling out the unfairness of time. And I wrote what I think is the meanest lyric I've ever written.
Time, I wanna feel your tender heart break just like mine. For the soft and the sharp of a rose that was grown to be pruned and pruned until it dies.
I want to feel your tender heart break against mine. That's so mean. And I don't think I would write that about anything or anyone else but time. And because I think time can take it. I am an Enneagram Type 9, and I have a complicated relationship with all things conflict. And so I did kind of find it so fun to write this song because time has no feelings, and I felt like I could be as angry with it as I wanted to be. And so it was really, really fun to write the song. Here's maybe the other meanest lyric I've ever written.
Time, I want to see you hesitate, even change your mind. Be born, get older and tired and anxious and buried with hope for an afterlife.
I want to see you be born, get older and tired and anxious and buried with hope for an afterlife. Oh my gosh, that's so mean. I actually feel a little bit bad for time. I'm a little also scared that I wrote these lyrics because clearly there's some deep-seated anger that I haven't quite dealt with. But maybe writing these lyrics is helping me deal with some deep-seated anger. I'm not sure. As I'm talking about this song out loud, I am realizing that this is totally a revenge song, and I don't think I've ever written a revenge song. So this is a first. And just like in Build, before I wrote a single lyric in this song, I came up with a word palette that felt like words that would match the theme of Destroy. And so there's lots of fun ones, very, very hardcore and metal sounding. Smash, Oblivion, Shattering, Avalanche, Break, Sharp, Prune, Dies, Loud, Pieces, Buried, Pain, Ash, Dread, Fire, Flames. There's a ton of them, and I was actually able to fit all of those into this song, which is kind of interesting. Even as I listen to it, like, yes, you can totally hear the anger and the revenge aspect of this song, but it doesn't have a dark tone for all of those words to be. I'm actually surprised that all of those words somehow fit into a song that doesn't sound just like super dark and spooky. I will say that it was a ton of fun to come up with that vocabulary of destruction. I've realized over the many, many years of writing songs that no matter how sad or angry or heartbroken the song I'm writing is, or I am, hope always finds its way into my music, whether or not I mean for it to, and I think that's because I need it. Without entirely being conscious of it, as I'm writing my songs and figuring myself out and navigating all of the heavy that life inevitably throws, I need hope. So it ends up finding its way into every song of mine right at the end. So for Build and Destroy and the song that follows, Time Lies, which we'll talk about later, I intentionally put the word hope in each song as a little beacon in these negotiations with time, that hope exists even as I'm angry and yelling at time or begging for more of it or ignoring it entirely. Both Build in its pleading for more time and Destroy in its anger for all that time takes from us. Each song does land or resolve in acceptance. Later on in Destroy, I use the metaphors of the phoenix and the ash, pruning, childbirth. In all of our storytelling throughout history, pain is essential. And to be clear, I absolutely hate that fact. And acceptance is so much easier said than done. And I remember spending a ton of time in therapy after my mom passed away, trying to make sense of suffering and how acceptance is ever even possible. And I still have so far to go, but realizing that acceptance is a direction that we aim towards rather than a state that we arrive at was really helpful. And I think writing these songs in particular is me continuing to do that processing and to continue trying to reconcile suffering and acceptance. And writing these stories helps me calcify that hope, and it recalibrates my aim towards acceptance. The lyrics to the chorus in the song are about moving forward in the context of the song, which is, of course, acceptance. But it's also a lyric that I just need to hear all the time because, as I said, I get in my head a lot. So this is sort of my anthem to help me get out of my head.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just pick up the pieces. Don't overthink this.
I'm assuming that the rest of my life I will need to hear that advice to not overthink it. So I should probably just get it tattooed somewhere. But in the meantime, it is really helpful to have this mantra built into the song. There are a bunch of ways that I try to connect, build, and destroy. But one way I wanted to mention is that in the lyrics, at the very tail end of Build, is the lyric, I'll try to make use of the tension in the first and second act of my story. And then in Destroy, I complete that by saying transformation in the third act. And this is just a fun way to reference the 3-act story structure in these songs. Musically, I thought about making the song distorted and sort of harsh and really leaning into like the destroy aspect of the theme. But I felt like that was a little bit too obvious. And so I went in the direction of using mostly instruments that were played staccato. So a stabbing or plucked kind of sound. I also felt like the lyrics were so mean at times that it actually felt kind of nice to have that contrast of saying something harsh against a harp or pizzicato strings rather than like a wall of distorted sound and it's just all angry. Because even though I'm definitely angry at time in this song, I'm also still me and I don't really know how to do anger well. So this felt like the most me way of approaching the idea of destroy. With all of that in mind, I thought the French horn would be a beautiful fit for the theme of Destroy. And so I invited my friend Sarah Wilkinson to play French horns, who is an incredible player. She was kind enough to be a guest on my song 4, as well as Son, S-O-N. And she did a brilliant job with these parts. And so excited to have her on this. So here are Sarah's French horns. And all of the stunning strings that you hear throughout were played by the incredible Sharon Gerber once again. So honored as always to keep making music with her. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. I could never, ever tire of listening to Sharon play cello. It is so, so beautiful. I had a ton of fun recording background vocals on this song as well. Also happy to share a couple Easter eggs hidden throughout this song. The first is a sped up clock ticking, and it happens throughout the song many times, so you probably can hear it. I wanted it to kind of feel a little stressful, and so it kind of is sped up in the background, and you just hear this like unnerving ticking clock. In the song, I sing the lyric "rings the bell," which is a little bit of a nod to the "you can't unring a bell" idiom, because basically there's a irreversible action happening in the song. And so I thought it'd be fun to actually have a bell, be very literal about it. And so near our apartment in London, there is an incredible department store called Liberty. And every once in a while, the bell from the Liberty clock goes off. And that is what you hear here. It is tuned to the song, and you can kind of hear it a couple different points in Destroy. At the very start of the song, I sing the lyrics, "Smash the hourglass." And so right when that happens, you can hear the sound of hourglass sand pouring. And I really loved that texture in this song. I was actually kind of surprised. I assumed I would just hide it, but you can hear it very, very well. Originally, I was thinking I would actually smash that same hourglass and record that sound, but that felt a little too hardcore. And lastly, just like Build, there's some construction sounds. This one is just a demolition construction site. So I like the idea of Build having construction and Destroy having demolition. So that's Build and Destroy, two sides of the same coin. As I wrap up this episode, I did want to share just a few more quick things that I'm super excited about. First, I will have new music releasing every Tuesday for the next 4 weeks, starting with today's release of Destroy. So next week will be a new acoustic version of a song of mine. The following Tuesday will be a new astronomy song. And then the Tuesday after that will be the next Atlas 3 song called Time Lies Ludos, which I referenced earlier in the episode. Oh, and after that, I have an acoustic version of Build that I am so excited to share with you. Here is a little clip of that.
Out there blinking, you'll miss it. It's the promised land, or at least somewhere different. Pressed up to the glass to see it, but I get distracted by my reflection. Like a live wire, hope flickers against the pitch black and rich contrast. Hypnotized by the horizon, I hold out my hand.
Thank you guys so much for listening and for letting me talk through all that went into these two songs. It truly means so much to me. The next episode will be out soon and will be all about Time Lies, Ludos, the next Atlas song. Oh, and if you're in or around London, I hope to see you on May 27th at Royal Albert Hall. All right, guys, talk to you soon.